I started playing the TM Custom Tenor a little over a year ago, and I played 300 performances around the world on this horn. It holds up to my demanding touring schedule. That's very important to me. I'm the last of 6 kids, you know. Wow. And my brother Fred had started to make it pretty big in Los Angeles, and so we decided to move to LA, but we didn't quite make it. We ran out of money in Santa Rosa.
Oh, the gas ended there, huh?
That's it. That's when the old Route 66, it was still no I-40, you know. Well, everybody in my family played. Yeah. There was always music around the house. You know, when we got to Santa Rosa, New Mexico, we couldn't afford a babysitter for me, so at first grade, I would go from the elementary school to the high school band where my father was teaching, and he had me playing bass drum in the high school band. He stood me up on a chair. My dad, you know, he had scoped the whole scene out, and there was a band director opening there. So he started teaching at the Santa Rosa High School.
Okay. Well, how did the sax start happening?
Sax didn't start happening till much later because my father wanted me to become a classical clarinetist and a symphony orchestra. Yeah. You know, my brothers had made it big time with all these big stars. Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, you know, people like this, Edgar Winter White Trash, Ike and Tina Turner. By the time they got to me, I'm the last of 6 kids, he said, okay, you're gonna be a classical clarinetist. So I started playing clarinet early on, you know. But anyway, so I played the clarinet, you know, I was in the youth symphony. Finally, we moved from Santa Rosa to Albuquerque.
Oh, good.
Right? My father was kind of gearing me to play classical clarinet only. And then one day I was homesick. I was homesick for about a week with bronchitis, and my mother had gone to the store, the grocery store. My dad was teaching in Berlin back then. He would teach at the Berlin School District. And he had this John Coltrane record. I put it on. I was like, wow. And my dad always had saxophones under the bed. That's where he kept it. He says, don't touch those, ever touch those. You're gonna be classical clarinet.
Right.
Well, after hearing John Coltrane, that album was called Coltrane Plays for Lovers. They've changed it now to ballads. Anyway, I like, man, I got to get this tenor out. So I got this tenor out and started playing it. And my mom comes home, and she has this, I never heard this tone in her voice.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, honey, you sound good." And she comes walking to the back of the house and looks at me, and she jumps about 3 feet off the ground. She thought it was my dad.
Oh, really?
So she says, "You got to put that under," you know. And then my dad comes home from, and you know, we're at the dinner table, and he's got smoke coming out his ears, you know, and he doesn't say anything. And then finally, after dinner, he calls me back to the room, and he's got the tenor out. He goes, "All right, let me see what you got." And I started playing, and he just started shaking his head. About a week and a half later, I think he went to Don Lessman's and got me an alto.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
he got me a LeBlanc alto. There was a time, once I started playing the saxophone, my dad put me right on his band. I was 13, 14. Dave Gonzalez was on that band.
Yeah.
Gappy Maestas, Bob Brown, Conrad Figueroa, Connie Figueroa, Jesse Sawyer. Milo's father was playing drum. Milo Harmia's father was playing drums. So, I mean, there was really good bands. So he put me in with these older guys. And then that's when it all started, the saxophone.
So how was your tone, your dad's tone, and what did your dad think of your tone?
Everybody says, like Bobby Shue and all these guys that knew my dad and worked with my dad, they all say that I sound like my father. And so how am I going to get to New York? And my father had seen this ad in the back of the International Musician. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Had been running for a year for a solo tenor chair at the West Point Jazz Band.
Wow.
So he sends him a tape that I made here at my girlfriend's living room.
Really?
Me playing Cherokee with Music -1. And they send me a ticket, and I fly to West Point, and somehow I won that audition. Turns out it was the biggest, that was the biggest move of my career. When I was a kid growing up here, whenever Basie would come on that Sullivan Show or something, you know, we had the black and white TV, my dad would turn it up.
Yeah, crank it.
And we'd sit this close to it,
Oh, yeah.
and he'd say, "Oh boy, that's the way the saxophone's supposed to sound, that's the way the tenor's supposed to sound, that's the way," and he would point to these cats. And I used to dream.
Yeah.
I go to bed dreaming about being on the Basie band.
And you did it.
And look what happened, look what, you know what I mean?
See, that's
talk
awesome.
about it, you be careful what you wish for.